But we'll move on to another player here that was expected to get paid, but they're letting him ask for another trade. And this is for the second straight year that the Bengals star defensive end Trey Hendrickson sought permission to seek a trade. This
Yep.
time, his trade request was granted. Last year, it was not. Cincinnati's front office is allowing him to seek a trade. Um, he was due for a big payday with this amazing season that he's had.
Hmm.
For him, for the Bengals first, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think that they should give him the payday, franchise tag him, or just try to get him to another team with the trade?
I think at this point in the relationship between both sides, it's probably best to just help him to seek a trade with some team because they're not going to be if they sign him, they're not going to be able to afford Chase and Burrow like that squad. It's going to be they're going to be if they do, it's going to be a miracle, but they're going to have a lot of money wrapped up in like 3 to 4 players, and one of those players being Hendrickson is on the other side of 30. So or either he just turned 30, he's 31. He's an older player, so to try and sign that guy for a long-term deal when you have a mostly young team, it's just not going to work out. And he's already frustrated with the team. He's already been frustrated with how the defense has been playing. He's pretty much the only one on that side of the ball. So he's frustrated. He wants to leave. At this point, cut your losses, try to trade him, find somebody that you can find a willing partner to that you can get maybe a player and get a pick or two for and call it. He's at a premier position, by the way. Edge rusher is like probably other than quarterback, it's the premier position in the league that you can get higher draft picks for. We talked about earlier with, maybe wide receiver or tight end. It doesn't get you as much, but pass rushing, every team wants that. So, I feel like being able to get a, third or second round draft pick especially second, isn't too far out of the question for Trey Hendrickson, the guy that just back to back 17 sack seasons. I don't think that that's something that's impossible to get.
Yeah, I do agree with you on the fact that there's going to be a lot of trade value for him. I do believe that position is very well needed across the league every single year. Like
Yep.
there's players that get injured, things happen in that position for sure. So you definitely need someone who's going to be leading the leagues in sacks at that
Yep.
position, you know. But
Mhm.
for me, man, I think the Bengals need to pay this man because their defense is not good. There's a reason why they didn't make a run because of the fact that their defense was just horrible all
Yep.
season. And dude, like if you're trying to have a better defense, you gotta be signing the players that lead the league at their position. I mean,
Yep.
it just makes sense. Like, why not pay the guy who's doing the most work for you on the side of the ball that is the worst for you? It just
Yep.
doesn't make sense to me on why you would want to let him go. I get it. You got to pay Jamar Chase. You got to pay T. Higgins. You got to pay Trey Hendrickson. In my opinion, pay all of them. You're trying to win or not?
Yep.
Like,
Well, the problem is that now it's kind of out of not necessarily out of the question, but now you're put yourself behind the 8 ball because you delayed this for a year. If they would have worked with him last year and gotten a deal done, now you're going off of 117 year sacks or 117 sack season. Okay, you could probably he probably would be he'd be a jump in price for sure. But now that he's been able to duplicate that success, now you're having to pay him even more because now it's not just a one hit wonder thing. You can't take that into negotiations. Now it's like, yeah, I've proven I can get these numbers. You need to pay me. And
yeah,
that and
fact,
they
fact.
completely shot themselves in the foot with that. But now, because they also put it off, and now he's pissed, he doesn't want to necessarily. I don't think he wants to come back to Cincinnati as bad as they were and as much as they've treated him. So they've kind of screwed themselves over in this situation. So I think for them, the time to sign him to this deal was last year, and now that he's frustrated with the team, he kind of wants to look elsewhere. No sense in keeping him there if he's not going to be really happy.
Yeah, facts, facts. Sandy, thank you for tuning in. Put it on the Sidewire stream. I feel you. I got your stream up as well. Appreciate you. Um, so let's talk about if they do trade, right?
Yeah.
What team? Obviously, he can't choose what team to go to. His team, the Cincinnati Bengals, is gonna choose the best fit, the best trade for them, really.
Yep.
Um, But which team would be the best fit for him if he got to choose?
I think my Bucks.
You think your
I,
Bucks? Think your
I think
Bucks?
so.
Okay.
They are in desperate need of an outside pass rush.
Mhm.
They they've made moves like this before. They've traded for Jason Pierre-Paul back in like 2018, I believe, or 2019. So they're not against Jason Light's not against making that kind of move. They do have some draft capital to move. Um, they could probably get a second round pick, maybe, and pair that with like a third. You could trade Jamel Dean because I know they're trying to get off of his. They're trying to get him off the books. Um, and Cincinnati's pass defense was piss poor, and
It's poor.
they were horrible at cornerback. Jamel Dean is a proven veteran that he has good shutdown skills as a corner, good man to man coverage guy, and you get a second round pick as well. And this draft class is pretty deep in edge rushers too. So if they wanted to, they could draft Trey Hendrickson's replacement in the first round. Then you got an extra second round pick to play with too. And the Bucks, you get a bona fide, proven edge rusher that you don't have to now pigeonhole yourself in the draft with that first round pick to go get an edge rusher. You can now kind of pick your poison. You can maybe go address cornerback, which they were kind of wanting to do anyway, moving on from Jamel Dean. They could go with middle linebacker if Levante David retires. They have a few different routes they could use that first round pick for if they make the trade for Trey.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be a good sighting to see Trey in Tampa for sure. But
Yeah,
I would also say, even for my team, I think it would be dope to see him in Dallas because we need that position as well with Demarcus Lawrence that he's going to be gone. I don't think that we're going to resign him really. If
yeah,
not, we would have done it already. But
yeah.
I don't think that my team or your team are going to be contenders, to be completely honest. And I
Mhm.
want to see him in a contending team because of the fact that he's a dog, man. He's a dog. He led the league in sacks, and I want to see him do great. So I think the best fit for him would be the Buffalo Bills on the fact that they're letting go of Von Miller, which they already let him
Mhm.
go. So that spot is open for someone to come in there and wreak havoc. And I think Trey Hendrickson can do that. And we've seen that Buffalo can be a contender. Yes, their kryptonite is the Kansas City Chiefs, 100%. But
Yeah.
you never know. Maybe one time in the playoffs, they actually beat Kansas City. So
Well,
it could be
well,
a chance that he could be a part of that team.
and the key to beating Kansas City we saw in the Super Bowl was pass rush. That's what you got to do. You got to sign pass rushers.
Exactly.
So I'll
Exactly.
push back a little bit about the Bucks not being contenders. I think they're that one guy away from doing it, and that's neither here nor
That's not
there.
what
But
we're talking about here, B.
exactly. So, but yeah, definitely he's at a position that you can get a premium haul for him,
Yeah.
and that's the secret to beating Patrick Mahomes. I think that at this point, if you're Cincinnati, just trade him and recoup your losses and try to build a better defense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see what's gonna happen with that. NBA, NFL free agency is already up and popping, and there's gonna be a lot more free agency talk in these next couple of weeks, even
Yep.
the next month.